so blessed. We're so blessed, right? So that's the idea of this. We're blessed for blessing. We're blessed because we appreciate each other. We're blessed because we put the footwork in. Eid al-Fitr, this wondrous words from Rumi really stirred me up, and thinking about this whole idea of the fasting and the benefits of fasting, but also the specialness of this one particular holiday, which is Eid al-Fitr, which is the afterwards, right? This is the feast. Now it's the feast. Now it's the feast, and you reap the rewards of all of the work that you did from fasting, right? And then it says in the poem that even if you didn't fast, you could reap the rewards. What's that? What's that?
Sale, compassion.
That's
Grace.
it. Yeah.
Unlimited favor.
Yeah. It's a divine, we can trust it, right? It's a divine that's got our backs no matter what. No matter what. So the divine is never the problem. The divine hasn't been the problem in any of these traditions. Knowing, awakening to our Buddha nature isn't the problem. The problem is our own dedication, our own willingness, our own way that we move things up and make it mean something else. I want to read the words from Pope Francis that talk about fasting, okay? And he says, fast from hurting words and say kind words. Fast from sadness and be filled with gratitude. Fast from anger and be filled with patience. Fast from pessimism and be filled with hope. Fast from worries and trust in the divine. Fast from complaints and contemplate simplicity. Fast from pressures and be prayerful. Fast from bitterness and fill your hearts with joy. Fast from selfishness and be compassionate to others. Fast from grudges and be reconciled. Fast from words and be silent so you can listen. So that whole way of what a lot of the faith traditions, and when we have different times of the year when they come together, asking us to take some risks, to move out of our comfort zones, to really put things into perspective in our lives. And that's the whole idea of Ramadan. And I think the blessing for all of us is to have so many neighbors that are participating in Ramadan too. So we kind of see it, little places everywhere, and catch it. Oh yeah. One of the spiritual things that I don't do as often as I do now. My husband's a little sensitive to scented candles. I don't know why I always buy scented candles. But I used to light a candle in the morning and have that candle burning all day. So every once in a while, when I go past it, it was always a reminder that the light was there. But do other things. I have plenty, believe me, I have plenty of other things you can do instead of the candle. But that's just one thing, right? So it's talking about, taking risks, and taking risks is an essential part of our journey in life. It's an essential part of every aspect of our life, not just spiritually. Right? If you're not taking risks in your careers, if you're not taking risks in trying new things in exercise and health and reaching out and coming out of your comfort zone with things that you're doing in life, well then you're really not on the journey, right? We're just sitting down waiting for it to be over. You know what that's like. Either sitting around waiting for the journey to be over or actively participating in it, getting out there, pushing yourself to do something different, to be involved. And so when we get something like Ramadan, it's like, oh, this fast, I gotta fast for 40 days. And then even like the fast, we have fasting in Christianity for Lent, and we have fasting in Judaism. It talks about, we all talk about Yom Kippur, that's the day. There's so many other fasting days in Judaism, right? It's all about, the Janes who are coming next week, they're the champion fasters. I just handed down to the Janes and they're fasting. I met a Jane who fasted on, sunlight, that's all they took in sunlight to get all their nourishment. I mean, to take yourself to that level physically as a human being is huge, but it's possible. It's possible. But it wasn't possible without taking risks and reaching into and going deeper into our spirituality. Now, what I said before, the whole idea, the whole celebration of Eid is about, we got everything, right? The divine gives us everything, we have everything, we've been told over and over again, we're loved no matter what, we don't have to do it for the divine's sake. Whose sake do we have to do it for? Our own. Our own. How much effort am I putting into my own growth in my spirituality, my own development? How much effort am I putting into the kind of fast that Pope Francis talked about? Owning my stuff, hearing what I'm saying to others, stopping myself when it's not necessary to say. You all know that line, right? Should this be said? Should this be said by me? Should this be said by me now? All those things of stepping back, pausing. Don't pause because how am I going to participate in what's happening around me? Pause because who do I want to be? And whose do I want to be? What do I want to reflect in life? What do I believe is true in life? Do I need to keep talking to get it out? And what's going on inside of me? What I really need you to know. Oof, that even hurts going like this. Do you feel the push? What do I need to say to you? Instead of what do I need to feel and be with and share with? It feels so much different, right? It's this opening, it's this welcoming. But the discipline, it does take this idea of looking at ourselves and looking at this discipline, because there's two types of risk, right? The risk from the outside and inside, things that affect us on the outside and things that affect us on the inside. And we have to know how to measure how we can handle all of those things, right? And it's taken the time to do those things. So I know, I think it's Mother Teresa that said, if you don't have the half hour to meditate because your life is too busy, then meditate for 45 minutes. If you don't have 5 minutes to meditate, I meditate for a half hour. So if you don't have 5 minutes to meditate, then you meditate for a half hour. Put that in, because then you'll be able to do more things. When you're connected, that everything works more smoothly in your life. So stop everything, pull yourself back, and get into that place where that connection is. Because as the song says, the divine wants to give us everything. The divine is giving us everything. Where in your life are you pulling back? Are you pulling back in your spirituality? Are you pulling back in your meditation? Yes, sometimes you have to wake up earlier. This was one of the hardest lessons I had to learn. Once the kids were older, I was glad to be, I can sleep later. Trying to pick jobs that, you came in later in the day so I could just get some more sleep. And the gift I've gotten out of saying no. Get up. Set the alarm. Discipline yourself. And get it. The thought of, I'd lose out on my sleep time, but I'd be more connected. Okay? What's the measure? What's the measure? How do we balance that out? What do we want from our lives? How much of this everything do you want to experience? That's your question for Eve. It is about forgiveness. It's about abundance. It's about thankfulness. All month long, everybody's been holding out, holding on, giving to the neighbors. And every time you break the fast, you're supposed to break fast with neighbors and people and food. And you're supposed to save some money and give extra tithings and give and give and give and give. But you're fasting, but you're giving. What are you fasting for? Becoming more of an empty container, right? So that more can be filled in. More can be filled in. When we talk about this everything, when we talk about being able to trust in the divine, it is just so important to be able to do that in our lives. Let's just take a moment and look at the things in our readings that we have today, right? He says first in the declaration of intent, we have finished a fast of wandering, always keeping our trust in the divine to make it to this moment. So even when we're in that place of, when is Ramadan going to be over? When is Ramadan going to be over? When is the fast going to be over? That's the wandering, right? But we always wanted to, keeping that trust. From not having, we learned of blessing. In gratitude, we know that we are abundantly blessed. And that idea of gratitude and knowing keeps shifting yourself back. What's a spiritual way of being for myself? Gratitude is a wonderful tool. It brings you back right away. I've had a couple of losses this week, and thinking about the losses and people who had passed, having gratitude and being able to go to the families with that gratitude for the person's existence in my life, in my family's life, right? Found out things that they did for, there was one gentleman that had passed away, he was a good friend, our oldest son's, one of his really good friends, and this gentleman did so many things for our son that we didn't even know about, And then we're able to share it with his wife, because we stayed in gratitude, not in depression. You see how it's simple, but it's a little twist, but it means everything. Tomorrow will be the wake for another friend of mine who I knew very dearly in high school. In fact, he was my trainer when I was 40. I was in great shape when I was 40. I had my own personal trainer. But we had some fun adventures. Really great stuff in life. And staying in that place for us. I know we have to grieve and we go through our grief process, but even in the gratitude for the grief, because the deeper we grieve or the deeper we mourn, that just shows us how much we loved. Amen. Right? So we just say with that, wow, this feels horrible. But it's showing me how much I love. And I'm grateful for them, and then start filling yourself with the stories of the different things that never would have happened had you not had them with you. You see how it works? It's working it. It's always working it. The whole idea that these spiritual traditions, and the reason why I'm bringing it so concrete this time and talking about things, about, evaluating what's the cost benefit, in more technical terms with that. But it's true in spirituality. And I'm up here today to say you're worth it. And that try to help motivate you to move beyond your own particular form of self-sabotage that you participate in, to not allow you to receive this, to be in this, to know it. So many people want to know, well, I want to know the truth. I want to know the truth about life after death. I want to know the truth about the divine. I want to know the truth. You don't know it with your brain. I'm telling you right now, your brain is too small to know the secrets of the universe. Too small. Absolutely. It won't come in words. Language, too minimal. Just look at, if you know different languages. All our, the trying to revive my French, and it's so much more beautiful than English. English is more, and then lately we did all the Irish, and forget about that. Oh, Roshalabaha, how are ya? It's like, I'll see you when you get home. So, all these different, it's so different. Language is so contrived. It is so different than, I can imagine what Rumi's poetry sounds like in Arabic, right? When you know that language and what it means. So moving ourselves out of that, so we can come to a place of taking some of the words, like Rumi's talking about, these two moons, right? The moon at the little sliver of a moon that we start Ramadan, to that full moon that appears right at the end, that we have the moons coming through. And what's happening to us? What are we doing in that time? Are we moving our bodies? Are we doing it? And he says, just like the prophets, all of the prophets, they came out of their comfort zone. They all had to come out of their comfort zone. Any kind of saint, any kind of spiritual leader from all of these traditions came out of their comfort zone. They disciplined themselves. You are worth it. Today, why don't you ask someone to be a spiritual buddy? Someone who by the end of the week, you will tell them what you've done for yourself to grow your spirituality. Were you consistent with your meditation all week? Did you want to up it a little bit? Did you want to say some more prayers, write some more prayers, read some books, do some Tai Chi, do some yoga, do some chant? I can go on. There's a lot of stuff you could do. Do some, absolutely. The service. There's so many things we can do to improve our spirituality. So maybe take a spiritual buddy. Maybe do that. I know all the great ones want you to. And then Michael Singer at the end of our Words of Wisdom says, when you have tasted the ecstasy of the inner flow, that's not heady. It's not I can tell you what happened to me with words. That is a whole being. When you've tasted the ecstasy of the inner flow, you can walk in the world, and the world will never touch you. And that's how you become free and you transcend. May we all transcend, because we all help each other to do the same. Service.